The 1960s was a decade of great change in the British motor industry. The UK's labour-intensive production lines with their high manufacturing costs made it increasingly difficult for Britain's car companies to compete with the cheaper Japanese, European and American imports. By the end of the 1960s, following a series of mergers and takeovers, motor vehicle production in the UK was to become dominated by four major companies: British Leyland, Ford, Vauxhall and Chrysler.
The motor show means magic. Hundreds of thousands will be drawn to Earl's Court to see the whole range of 1961 models, from the Rolls-Royce Phantom 5 going for about 10,700 to all the things we shall see in a minute. Nothing like travelling with a figured walnut cocktail cabinet and all that goes with it. The Lee Francis is back again, a 2.5 litre, taking 100 miles an hour in its stride. The power unit of Ford Zephyr. The 3 litre Humber Super Snipe features twin headlamps which all but turn night into day. In every way, the Snipe is a high-performance luxury car. The Fiat 500 can be had in a station wagon form, a fine goer in its class. The Sims petrol injector may replace carburetors. From Germany comes the DKW Junior with a 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine, which will outlast many of the 4-stroke kind. Back in the luxury class with the Mercedes-Benz. The 220S Saloon has a 6-cylinder engine. Its stable companion is a 3-litre model. Mrs. Michael Wilding admired a Bentley costing a little over £8,000. Of course, if you must have something cheaper, there's the Electron Minor. Assemble it yourself, and it costs less than £500. Nearly 350 cars from 10 countries are in the biggest motor show under one roof the world has ever seen. The new and attractive Consul Capri aims at the mass market and looks capable of scoring a profitable direct hit. The MG midget chassis above another MG. An old friend, the MG, popular on both sides of the Atlantic. Another newcomer, the Riley Elf. 32 of the 72 different makes of cars on show are British. Optional on the Austin A60 is automatic transmission. Obviously, the car appeals to TV star Kim Tracy. Way up in the Tycoon class is the Bristol 407. Up-to-the-minute gear change, a status symbol for the connoisseur. And available now is an engine which really is a power unit, a 5.2-litre Chrysler. There's Class 2 about the Rover 3-litre, with power steering and automatic transmission if wanted. But why not build your own car, at least assemble it? Ask Lotus. The saving, £800, well worth the effort and time. You can break for tea to suit yourself, and if you feel like a strike some weekend, who'd stop you? That big dollar earner, the Triumph TR4. So well known across the Atlantic, the exhaust almost has an American accent. But if there's one car that steals the show, it's the new Jaguar Mark 10. Inside and out, as near to perfection as anyone can wish. America has 1,000 on order. One dealer said he could sell that many tomorrow if he could get them. The Chrysler Turbo Flight is a peep into the future. Open the door and up goes the canopy. The engine runs on almost any liquid fuel. A wonderful show, but where are we all going to park?
Prophets are saying that this motor show at Earl's Court is the last one with Britain outside the common market. Already the automobile industry in this country accepts the challenge of selling in the continental countries. New models like the Cortina from the Ford stable will catch the eye of hundreds of buyers visiting the show from across the channel. The British Motor Corporation ranges over the entire field of motoring, meeting almost every need and every purse. If the Morris 1100 on the stand here were a frock, you would say it leaves nothing to the imagination. Everything that makes the wheels go round is on view. Looking at that exciting power unit of the Mini Cooper are Val Guest and Yolande Donlan. A combination, this engine and chassis, of economy and performance. The name Riley has carried weight for more than a generation. On the stand here, it was carrying two girls from the windmill. Smallest car made by Riley, the Elf, has an 850cc engine and front-wheel drive. Obviously, a car to take the female eye. The Hillman Super Minx is an eyeful, standing up to the competition of the three lovelies trying it out for comfort. From the 1600cc engine to the back axle, the Super Minx spells luxury travel. Automatic transmission is available, and here's something to appeal to every car owner. It has no greasing points at all. About time we arrived at that. New just before the show is the Triumph Spitfire, claiming to be faster and altogether more luxurious than any sports car of the same price. Twin carburetors serve the Spitfire's hotted-up version of the Herald engine. Step on it, and you're up in the 90s. In another price range, the £3,000 to £4,000 class, the Jensen, with that fugitive from the Whitehall, Brian Ricks, quite interested. The engine, a 6-litre V8. The Jensen, just the job for the connoisseur who's not too hard up, will loiter at 10 miles an hour or hit 130, depending on how far you put your foot down. Rovers aren't showing that gas turbine car all the motoring world's waiting for, but in the conventional field, their 3-litre models and others of their range attract a big following. However many people get to the motor show, millions who'd like to can't go. So Pathé News lavishly covers it in Technicolor and brings it to you in this theatre. The coupe has lines stylish enough to appeal to the continental markets, plus the performance to which those Route Nationale and Autobahns afford scope. For a fellow obviously something in the city, the Ford Zephyr looks just the ticket. What a pity, it's for the police. Solved, the problem of how to carry a big dog without letting him push you through the windscreen. Admit him by the back door into a large cage, and then if he has an impulse to leap onto the front seats at a critical moment, well, he can't. Jaguar's a magic name on both sides of the Atlantic. Lord Montague must have found the E-Type quite a contrast to those vintage cars he collects at Bewley. This car industry is one of Britain's big dollar earners. Perhaps in the next few years, it will expand and put us really on the map of Europe. Certainly, this model has been an outstanding success since it's erupted on the sports car world less than 2 years ago. Dolled up for Earl's Court, the famous 3.8 6-cylinder engine. Much smaller, but very much in the high-performance class, the Lotus Elan, built on the foundation of racing success and with refinements every owner will appreciate. Nowadays, the sports car field offers so much, the girlfriend looks like becoming choosy. Somebody's fascinated by those headlamps. These days, everybody has motoring jargon on the tip of his tongue. Salesmen can't afford to bluff. And anyway, bluff isn't called for. The Lotus Elan has twin two-choke carburetors and, of course, disc brakes. The MG 1100, a winner in its class if ever there was one. As for the Continental Bentley, where is the motorist with 9,000 pounds to spare who could possibly resist it? Edmundo Ross, who knows a quality car when he sees one, was full of admiration. It's bewildering, this multitude of fine cars, more than holding their own in the world's most competitive industry. Manufacturers are now concentrating their gaze on the lands across the Channel, where in all probability, great new markets, the common market, await those who can deliver the right goods at the right price. If this year's motor show is any guide, the British car industry will rise to the opportunity.
More than 360 cars, a motor show with everything. Take the Vauxhall Viva, 1057cc, 40 miles to the gallon. Top speed of 80. The Ford Corsair, medium priced and 1500cc. Seems to appeal to that car connoisseur Peter Sellers. The Hillman Imp, and keep your eye on the car. Well under 1000cc, but it can touch 75 miles an hour and do 45 miles to the gallon. In the Tycoon class, the Mercedes 600. Oil King Nubar Gulbenkian obviously impressed, but the car can be yours for £8,000. Sid James likes the look of that reclining seat when it's properly occupied. Well below £2,000, the S-Type Jaguar. As the makers say, grace, pace, space. And very stylish also, this Vanden Flower Princess. The luxury treatment given to an 1100 model. Fancy a sports car? Morgan's the name. A 2-litre in the 110 mile an hour bracket. Rovers present a new model, the 2000. Power with economy, lavish equipment, 100 miles an hour performance, quality guaranteed. A mini minor that leaves nothing to the imagination, revealing all the secrets of terrific success. The car that brings the future into the present day, the NSU Spider with the revolutionary rotary engine. The chassis of that king of cars, the Rolls-Royce. Super in everything. The Phantom 5, 8-cylinder, 6-litre, all for a little under £9,000. Work hard and it could be yours too. In the world of cars, indisputably #1. The show that has almost universal appeal. Take the Elva Grand Tourer. Only 40 inches high, 130 miles an hour. A BMW engine. What does Lyaraki take? Obviously an Aston Martin and a cool 150 miles an hour. The Wolseley 6110 Mark II. So confident of perfection that it reveals everything. The Singer Chamois. Performance motoring on a modest budget. Top speed 80, 40 miles to the gallon. The Morris Mini Supermodel also takes itself apart, for the motor show only. If it does this on the road, tighten your safety belt. Up in the executive class, the Humber Imperial. The Rover 2000, a sensation of last year's motor show, is unchanged and hard put to it to cope with export orders. That's a field in which this industry serves Britain well. The Triumph 2000 being admired by a connoisseur, Sterling Moss with Valerie Perry. Thousands will be milling around the BMC newcomer, the Austin 1800. An easy 90 miles an hour and nearly 30 to the gallon. Looking very attractive, the Simca estate car. For just under £11,000, a Ferrari. It takes the eye of famous rally driver Sheila Van Damme. Its price makes the Rolls-Royce, nearly £8,000, seem almost cheap, and the Continental Bentley. You enter a dream world at the motor show, look round, make your choice and imagine you can afford it. When you get outside Earl's Court, maybe it's raining and the buses are all full. Yes, it's a Mini, but with a difference. It's automatic. The his and her car that has brought redundancy to the left foot of the modest motorist. You simply get in, start up, select automatic drive, and away you go. Mini production lines are going ahead full swing. In 6 years since the amazing little car first took to the road, over 1,300,000 have been produced. The Mini's a world beater. British Motor Corporation export them to 160 countries. Minis offer low-cost motoring, rugged performance, maneuverability, and now the luxury of no gear changes. But for the man whose bank balance allows the last word in car luxury, a Rolls-Royce surely heads the list. They've never heard of mass production at the Rolls plant. Every part of manufacture is in the hands of specialists. The new look Rolls has been described as a masterpiece of design. With their reputation, who can blame them for taking their time? Despite advance orders to keep them busy for at least a year, Rolls-Royce insist that nothing be sacrificed for a production speed-up. If you want one, be prepared with £7,000 and wait. Dollars from across the Atlantic will pour in as fast as Rolls produce cars. The Rolls-Royce and Mini are the extremes of the wide range of British cars on view at the Motor Show. And what a range at Earl's Court this year for the 50th International Motor Show. And there it is, displayed to the British public for the first time, the supercar we've just seen on the road, the Silver Shadow itself. The Riley Kestrel, high quality in the 1100 range, and price-wise, a little more down to earth. That compulsive car buyer, Peter Sellers, with Britt Ekland and Tony Curtis, gave the show a fine start, buying a Ferrari for a mere £11,500. The Reliant Scimitar was soon attracting the attention of professional buyers from abroad, which is how Britain's car industry comes to the aid of the national economy. Secret of the car's high performance is there under the bonnet. A 6-cylinder, 2.5-litre engine developing 120 brake horsepower. 3 carburetors make sure the mixture goes where it can do most good. The Grand Tourer behavior is matched by many refinements. At last we have an electrically operated sunshine roof. Looks too good to be true. The Bond Equipe has the rather novel feature, a reinforced fiberglass body, rust-proof. The sign denotes that you have a puncture or something else holding you up. All the way from Japan comes the Toyota, with a kimono-clad little girl adding the genuine touch of the Far East. A competitor to be reckoned with. The Rover 2000, introduced 2 years ago, is now thoroughly established in all the world's major markets. They're turning them out to the full capacity of the plant at Solihull. That comparative newcomer, the Austin 1800, split up for detailed view. The Singh brothers won the East African Safari. They wouldn't have got far if they'd been left with just 2 seats. The MGB Grand Tourer seems sure of world sales. A real headline stealer, the new Triumph 1300. Everything provided for really comfortable driving. The new model's distinguishing feature is the front-wheel drive. It looks certain to draw a lot of attention to itself wherever British cars are sold. Back to the luxury class with the new Jensen. 0 to 100 miles an hour in a shade over 17 seconds. The sort of acceleration that can get you out of trouble in a crisis. Unlike previous models, this one is a Ferguson formula with 4-wheel drive, the first production saloon car having this feature. Lotus, notice the massive chassis, use their racing Triumphs to good effect in building a superb performance car for use on the road. This is a vehicle for the absolutely top-class driver. But it's pleasant to imagine ourselves with the money to buy one and the skill to drive it. Summer being definitely over, that ace of roast growers, Harry Wheatcroft, had time for a good look round here. Probably the Vauxhall Cresta took his eye. A powerful 3.3 litre, surprisingly economical to run. Ample room for 4 outside passengers and several stowaways. The finest motor show we've ever had. New York's automobile show balanced the home product with a fine collection of European models. The sports car, American or foreign, has become a status symbol over there. The British car industry made a showing to delight any manufacturer's heart. James Bond's Aston Martin found itself the top attraction. Everybody wanted to see how the awkward passenger can be shot into space. Also, the other devices by which a bad time is had by all who seek the blood of 007. The yellow Rolls-Royce turned the mind back to the spacious days of our parents. Of course, the main object was to sell ordinary cars to ordinary people. But New York is the last city on earth not to love a gimmick. Even old-time styling appeals to many. Buy new, say Americans. You can't afford to be seen in the daily traffic jam sitting in last year's model. The world-famous names are all here. The new models carrying the prestige of those names will command the admiration of well over 500,000 people visiting Earl's Court before the motor show closes. Incorporating the latest advances in automobile engineering are all the models in the wide range of the British Motor Corporation. Safety points high up on the priority list. And more than ever before in motoring history, this year's show is of vital importance to Britain. Exports must increase if the country is to pay its way. And the car industry is a leader in the export drive. This year, the big drive. Among best-selling lines in many countries are the well-tried and always improving small cars, popular alike in the millionaire belt, where each grown-up member of the family owns a car, and among the less well-off, with whom low price and cheap running are big assets. Popular feature of the Hillman Imp, the rear engine. Another winner from the Root stable, the Singer Chamois Sport, fast, economical, a rally favorite. Sleep for the navigator while the driver pushes on. Another from Singer, the Vogue. New body style, new engine, new almost everything. A new model this year, the Hillman Hunter, claiming to be the complete family car. As there are countless complete families all the world over, many with just the daughters to go with the car, the Hunter will sell well. A sensation already, the improved Ford Cortina. Previous models sold to the tune of 1 million in 4 years. And as exports can be maintained only on the basis of a wide home market, all these wonders of the industry appeal in Britain no less than abroad. The new Vauxhall Viva, for instance, better in style, shape, performance, everything you can think of. The Triumph GT6, a certain winner from the same stable as the Spitfire. Already large export orders have built up for this high-speed beauty, and the first 6 months' production will go to the USA. From Ford of Britain, the most luxurious car they've ever made, aptly titled the Executive. Based on the Mark IV Zodiac, it's a strong contender in the medium-priced prestige car field. Interior comfort is designed to cosset even the most hard-to-please successful businessman. Naturally, overseas competition at the motor show is key. The 365p Ferrari, with its centrally positioned steering wheel, is the brainchild of ace designer Pininfarina. It's claimed to be a major safety feature, affording the driver better all-round vision. But hand signals are definitely out. From Sweden, the Saab Sonnet. The Saab, with their famous international rally-winning success in recent years, are another company with big expansion hopes overseas. And, like other continental motor manufacturers, have and will continue to provide the British car industry with severe world competition. But this battle for the buyers is a spur which has often taken us to the lead in export markets, where our cars are renowned for their well-designed compactness, ease of handling, and economy. This surely is the year of the British car. Many brand new models, including the pepped-up twin-carburetor Rover 2000, are making their debut, and the market is all in favor of the buyer. The Rover 2000 is one of the most successful British export cars of recent years. Its many safety features and advanced design have won it wide acclaim, and demand outpaces production. The well-proven 2000 engine puts it in the luxury sports car class, though it is equally suited to more sedate and dignified driving, as Sheikh Hamdan, deputy ruler of Abu Dhabi, well knows. The new Daimler Sovereign caught the eye here of a connoisseur, Sir Gerald Nabarro, no less. A car with an honored name in a new version. Powerful, a great performer, not expensive for its class. Just the thing to whisk the gallant Sir Gerald into St. Stephen's Yard to impress other MPs. As always, the British automobile industry makes an impressive splash in the luxury field. Witness the Daimler's stablemate, the E-Type Jaguar, popular everywhere, across the Atlantic especially. What dollar earners the Jaguars have been and will continue to be. Like all our car exporters, they follow up sales with an unfailing after-sale service. Rolls-Royce knew all about exporting long before many of today's cars were even on the drawing board. And this year, as always, the Rolls embodies all that is excellent, from cigar lighter to cocktail cabinet to the silk-smooth 8-cylinder power unit, to which 100 is a mere cruising speed. We look, admire, and hope to sign that check for 10,000 odd. And that is the Motor Show 1966. Everything here contributes to the good cause of getting Britain out of the red. The automobile industry's export drive. This year, more than ever, the big drive.
This is no racetrack game, but a test carried out by the motor industry's own research team at Nuneaton. The tethered vehicle test lets the engineers do what they like to a car and study it in a lorry laboratory on the move to see how it fares, and weathers too. See how they test a car's reactions to 30 below. If the engine fires first time in worse than Arctic ice, the car firms know they're on the right road. Designs may look good on paper, but there's no real substitute for a practical test. And they go further than that at the Motor Industry Research Association to see if an idea's really sound. Sound's the word in the noise test, where they simulate roadway conditions to measure waves and vibrations in a program they're confident will cut down the annoyance of the noisy ride. At Mara, they can turn their laboratories into the toughest test beds. Aerodynamics isn't a study confined to aeroplanes. It's the science of streamlining. All sorts of things can go wrong to a car that's not the right shape. So, with those guidelines stuck to the car and an artificial gale, the experts look to see which way the wind blows and what it does. Mara's the place where they'll take a car to pieces and test it bit by bit, just to find out the most comfortable steering wheel position. But it's the speed and endurance tests that really puts the motor industry through its paces. Here's a special bumpy track testing steering suspension. High-speed performance is what the manufacturers want to know about, because it's then that a car really comes into its own, or maybe shows its faults. There's 3 miles of high-speed closed circuit, and in the fast lane, they can top the 150 mile an hour mark. Quality and safety are the car maker's code words, and every aspect of motoring must get microscopic attention in every detail if they want to live up to them. A car that can stand this kind of treatment can take anything our country lanes can offer. Wet weather roads may be commonplace in Britain, but the men at Mara are export-minded too, so a British saloon model must be able to withstand the odd monsoon or the occasional dust storm. There's no mystique or mystery in the modern motor car. When you pull so many apart, you know it all, from spark plugs and sprockets to gearbox and gasket.
Court, where the covers come off the brand new roadsters at the motor show. This is the year when women will have the say in what goes. And this new look Sunbeam Rapier certainly is a goer. And ladies, perhaps for the first time, the choice is yours. If hubby doesn't want to give up those pleasant pints, you're going to do a lot of driving. A Hillman stiletto might be the perfect vehicle for ferrying the old man back from the local. Or how about the AC Fastback? Put your foot down on this and he'll be sober in a flash. Breathalyzers be blowed. He'll have seen the red light. Honorable little engine goes like a bomb lady in the new Honda Mini. Very cheap, very Japanese. But homebred from the Vauxhall stable, there's the handsome new Victor. New shape, new engine. A real good looker, made by man with woman in mind. From MG, the MGC. A pretty two-seater that packs a lot of power in 6 cylinders. That may not mean a great deal to the new queens of the road, but in export markets, where they can open the throttle wide, it's a boon. The same goes for the Triumph TR5. It's a new motor with a brand new engine that does away with carburetors and uses a fuel injection system. In the super luxury class, the car that's a sure hit, the Rolls-Royce, here in convertible form. It's got everything, including a whopping price tag of £10,500. But capping even that at £11,000 plus is the beautiful Lamborghini Marzol prototype. Top speed is 210. It's the car that's got everything, from a pretty girl to a 4-litre engine. Still in the dream car bracket, it's a Piranha, a hand-built, one-only, perfect piece of motorcar designed by Nuccio Bertoni. You name it, the Piranha's got it. Advice to match performance in a car that looks just as good as it is. Certainly not a winner for looks is the Ford electric commuter car. But it certainly makes up for its plain Jane appearance in performance. It's just about the most ideal town runabout that ever came off the drawing board. It's a 4-seater that'll do 40 and do away with 3-point turns. What's more, there's only 2 pedals, go and stop. Couldn't be easier for the wife, especially when things start to look like this for the man of the house. That's the time to move over and let the missus manipulate the motor. No, this time it's not a touch of the DTs. The headlights really are having a look to see what's going on. It's the new Citroën with a phantom hand at the wheel. Anyway, it's sound advice not to drink and then drive. If you do, things may look like this. But for languoring in luxury with the wife at the wheel, there's the new Ford Cortina Super 68, the medium-sized car with the executive suite interior. Think of the accessory, and it's there to be found, except, of course, for a cocktail cabinet. But then he's probably had enough anyway. So let the lady get on with it. He'll drink, she'll drive. That's the way. down on Earth, they're striving for similar perfection for those who prefer to keep four wheels on the road. At Earl's Court, the motor show of 1968. A new twist for a new MG. A shine enough to make anyone reflect that great and common desire to own a new car, especially the new one from the Jaguar stable, the XJ6. Step into the XJ6 and there's cosseted comfort waiting. But under the bonnet, there's a choice of two power units that push it along like a racing car or purr along smoothly for sedate driving. Then there's the Triumph 2.5 PI. The PI stands for petrol injection. That means no carburetor, more power, greater economy. The fresh air fiends are well catered for too with the Bond convertible. The hood goes up easily if one of those rare rainy English days comes along. A little light entertainment for half a dozen he-men who want a lift comes under the name Vinal. It also goes under its own power. And on the topic of power, how's about the Gilbert Genie sports car? 3 litres, a new style body, and a near £2,000 price tag herald the Scimitar GTE. Nice car, but it can't do 168 miles an hour like the Pininfarina-styled Berlinetta. It's pretty lush inside, too. A very large bonnet tops a 12-cylinder engine. It's a beauty in a price range where the noughts nuzzle up to each other. Have you noticed that as they get faster, cars begin to look more and more like spacecraft? On looks alone, the eye appeal of some of this year's exhibits is out of this world. Example, the Bertone Carabo. On getting in, one could easily envisage a trip to Mars instead of a 70-mile-an-hour dawdle up the M1. For the technically minded motorist, this year's show at Earl's Court is paradise. Lift any bonnet, and there's a gleaming maze of highly engineered power that's just waiting to burst out at the slightest twitch of the throttle foot. There's a similar heaven in store for the motorist who likes his mechanical buggies to look beautiful. For Mr. and Mrs. Average Motorist, there's plenty they can afford, and lots they can't. But ritzy or modest, they're all lined up at Earl's Court for the Grady Show on the road. Burton Coalfield, another contender in the commuter car race. This one is the Colliday Chariot, brainchild of Mr. Robert Collier. He believes his car, which can turn in a 7-foot circle, has a great future with town shoppers. It's an all-weather vehicle which boasts a detachable hardtop for permitting weather. And, though basically a 2-seater, provision has been made to find room for a couple of kids. Power has been provided direct to the single front wheel by a 250cc twin-cylinder 2-stroke engine. Now for a practical demonstration. 2 adults and 2 children fit in snugly for a trip to the shops. Madam has no gear problems. It's fully automatic. Controls are simply a steering wheel and 2 pedals. One marked stop, the other go. The Colliday Chariot cruises comfortably at around 30 miles an hour. It's claimed that a complete novice could drive it after a minute's instruction. A lightweight plastic body is proof against rust. And another point in its favor is the ease with which it can be parked, even in the smallest space. The Chariot is now ready to go into production and is planned to sell at £300, including purchase tax. Can't be bad. New cars drew big crowds at Earl's Court. The Governor of the Bank of England, Sir Leslie O'Brien, who opened the motor show, said the car industry was a bigger-than-ever export booster. But though the shiny new exhibits whet homegrown appetites, British sales have taken a hard knock. There are cars to be bought and money to buy them with. But current higher purchase restrictions on used cars have clogged the market's turnover on trade-in deals. The danger is that the present rate of new car production and the lack of home buyers could mean short-time work for car makers this winter unless second-hand HP is made easier. New cars, like this hot version of Ford's Capri and the Luton-made Vauxhall Viva, would look fine in the showrooms, but dealers haven't got the cash to buy them from the factories. Specialist cars like the Aston Martin aren't so badly hit. But even with the threat of a slump, work for the future goes on. British Leyland's new Xander is a not-for-sale experimental car. The body is computer designed. The Xander could be the template for a Gran Turismo car of the future. But a car very much of today is the Bristol 411. It's a magnificent piece of machinery. A perfect place to stow the spare, where it doesn't get in the way. Like most good things, the Bristol doesn't come cheap. On the other hand, the Unipower GT, a rear-engine motor, can be purchased in kit form for as little as £375, or complete at up to £1,500. The fiberglass body incorporates a right-hand gear shift. But here's a car that all the money in the world can't buy at the present time, the Daimler-Benz C111. Its manufacturers call it the car of the future. No arguments. One car, however, still stands supreme, the Rolls-Royce. £10,600 worth of sheer luxury. Cars in the high price bracket will always find buyers, but it's the man-in-the-street motorist who matters most to the economics of the industry. It's important to everyone that car buying should be made easier to avert a crisis.